Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Midas Letter Live. With me again is Nika Domi, our new co-host.
How's it
James
going?
West is away.
I'm filling in for James, and we're going to have a lot of fun today. We have some crazy topics, so stay tuned.
Yes, and I'm Ed Milewski, of course. Yeah, so lots going on. We're going to talk about the continuing debacle over at CanTrust. Yeah, it's had a very big impact, hasn't it? It's
Lots of people are talking about it, so we'll definitely touch on that.
We'll get in there, but it's got to have an impact too on the rest of the sector.
It does, because now some
people
companies are getting kind of painted with the same brush, which is a little bit unfair, but that's how the world works, I guess. Yeah,
it just seems that in a very short time it's gone from boom to bust.
Yeah.
And that's disheartening. Okay, so this is what we're going to have on the show today. We're going to have this. We're going to have the news read by Suzanne Garcia. We're going to have Joe Schmidt back from the Neo Exchange talking about special purpose acquisition companies. And Elsa Navarro is going to be joining us from Khiron Life Sciences talking about their Kuida line. Now you say, is it Kuida or Kuida?
Oh, I think it's Kuida. And
Maybe the product comes
Spanish. I don't know Spanish.
Maybe the product comes from Ecuador. Just kidding. Anyway, so that's what we're going to do today.
Well, I saw it. It's beautiful. It looks beautiful. So.
Yeah? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I think women, South American women, really like to look good.
It is a huge business, and I hear a lot of people are going there for beauty treatments, and so beauty is definitely a huge market down there. I've worked for cosmetic companies for probably over 10 years.
Yeah.
I've worked with all the major players in the cosmetic business. So
I have a question for you. Can a woman spend too much on cosmetics?
Yes. Yes, because, and it's actually a very alarming thing. I had someone at my school that I just graduated from at McMaster. It was a young student lady, and she just had a part-time job, just very basic income. And she told me that she spends probably about $700 a month at Sephora.
Wow.
So that's probably at least 2 of her paychecks.
They probably
as a
are going to
student.
call us and ask her name so they can...
Yeah, so it is, and that's a young girl, so never mind someone who actually is able to spend that, right?
Yeah.
So people do spend quite a bit of money on cosmetics, and lately, actually, it's not just women, it's more men as well, because they have gotten into the skincare treatments. Men want to stay younger, longer as well. They don't want to tell anybody about this, but there's a lot of...
There's more men going into that, looking better, plastic surgery.
So it's not something that they will announce,
sure,
but it is happening, so...
Okay, well, I think we're going to hear from Suzanne Garcia reading the news right now.
And here's what's making cannabis news today. Fire and Flower Holdings has entered into a strategic investment with an indirect, wholly owned subsidiary of Alimation Couche-Tard. The company also received conditional approval to post its common shares for trading on the Toronto Stock Exchange, concurrent with the closing of the transaction. The subscription agreement allows for Couche-Tard to obtain a controlling interest in the company with an aggregate investment of more than $380 million of growth capital for Fire and Flower's global expansion. WeedMD's wholly owned subsidiaries, CX Industries and Ignite International Brands have entered into an exclusive licensing agreement for an initial term of 2 years. The initial product launch will include a variety of THC and CBD products for the Canadian market. CX, which specializes in extraction, tolling, licensing, and innovative third-party product formulations from WeedMD's fully licensed facility, will be the extractor, packager, and distributor of Ignite-branded vape products and cartridges in Canada. Australis Capital announced a partnership with Astound Group. Astound is a global marketing firm consolidating design, merchandising, commercialization, and brand strategy for Australis' house of brands. With a focus on evolving innovative brands, Astound has partnered with Australis to optimize its brands, expand awareness of their unique stories, and introduce new products under Australis house of brands. Dionamed Brands confirmed the official close of its acquisition of select assets from Esperanza 2 doing business as MMAC. The acquisition includes MMAC's 1.83-acre Los Angeles cannabis campus, including retail, distribution, manufacturing, and cultivation licenses for the purchase price of $13 million USD in cash and $6 million US in Dionamed Series A multiple voting shares. Indiva has signed a letter of intent with Société Québécoise du Cannabis to distribute Indiva's cannabis products in Quebec. Indiva expects its pre-roll and dry flower products to be available for purchase under completion of the Public Market Authority certification process. Lexaria Bioscience announced a multifaceted expansion of their relationship with Hill Street Beverage Company. Hill Street and Lexaria have entered into a joint manufacturing partnership valid for 10 years to produce jointly created hydrotech commercial products under a new brand to be announced. The brand will market processed THC cannabis and CBD hemp powder for new consumer products, including, among other categories, for sale in Canada and for export where permitted. And that's your news for today. If you want to hear more, check out the Cannabis Daily on MidasLetter.com.
So, Nika, lot of news items every day. But there's one company in particular you'd have to say seems to be getting a lot of attention, and that would be...
A lot of attention these days. It's CanTrust, and we must keep talking about it, I guess, because it is on everybody's minds, right?
Sure is. And today it confirmed what you said everybody should have known.
I thought that this was, clear, but they did say...
But now it's in print.
Right. Now it's final that we know that they have known about these extra rooms
through some emails that have gone back and forth, and it doesn't read well, does it? It looks like they were trying to, hide some things from Health Canada. And Health Canada is not going to like this.
No, and I mean, then the investors are not going to like this, right? So it just, and again, I am a sociologist at heart, and I always try to explain people when they make these types of mistakes.
Right.
I like to excuse that it is a mistake that a company has made, and there's so many regulations and there's so many roadblocks in the industry that it may kind of tempt some companies to say, they're caught between the rock and the hard place, right? Where they're like, well, we have to make business decisions. We were pressured by investors. They're saying, stock needs to go up, stock needs to... So I guess sometimes it's tempting for owners and to kind of take measures that they normally maybe wouldn't.
Yeah, a couple points. So today with that sort of news that they knew, it looks like they knew. At least it was
for 7 months.
Yeah. So the stock today is back to about $2.70.
Oh my goodness!
Now,
and yesterday
it was
at
340. So 70 cents on 340 is about another 20% drop. 20%. But look, if coincidentally, it's been public now. For at least if you put up a 3-year chart, it looks like the company was public for about 2 years now.
Yes.
So it looks like July of 2017, they did an IPO. Okay, and the stock immediately started heading north.
Well, I remember them being even above $10 at that time, right?
Well, there was several spikes in that. There's about a 1.5 year window, and in fact, look we got a chart up here now. There you go. So July. And I'm going to do it on my computer here because it makes it a little easier. Just a minute. So look. So there we are. There's the initial IPO, and a big move. Look at that. And these are clear trading channels, right? And again, this is a 2-year chart. So the stock got up to $11, $12, and then it bounced off here, and then it broke down. But look at back and forth for a year and a half. Like this, you could have bought it, sold it, But if you didn't get tired of buying and selling, thought I'm hanging in because it's going a lot higher, then something happened here. There's a gap breakdown, and this is when they started to talk about
the rooms.
The rooms, and that gap, when a gap doesn't get filled, that's not good.
Right.
In other words, it's not making an attempt. In fact, it's acting like this isn't what we thought it would be. And remember,
because now it's shaken. Right now, it's
and everybody's in the ditch. You know what I mean by that? Everybody's underwater.
Yes.
In their investment.
Yeah.
And what does that do? It's almost impossible to recover.
Right.
Because everybody's so negative now.
Well,
right?
A lot of people also kind of jump back in because sometimes when there's any bad news, the stock dips. Many risk takers will say, you know what, I'm going to play the pop that comes right after usually. But hopefully, they were able to get out in time because today it's even worse.
Yeah. And today we broke another level. So we're this is quite remarkable.
I played this stock. I think it was their last earnings. I thought I would actually be a hero. And
so your idea was to buy it, and when the earnings came out, that you were expecting good earnings.
I was expecting good earnings because they are one of the top players, right? They are up there with the Organigrams and the Aurora. Like at one point they were over $10 along with the other big companies, right? So I did consider them as one of the main guys.
Now, there's a company that hands out awards to this space, and for 2018, they were the LP of the year, Licensed Producer of the Year award. And we saw here for a year and a half trading between. We'll put that chart back up there again, please. Look at it's obviously bouncing off that level, which is around $7, but it's going between 7 and 12, 7 and 15. And then something broke when that story came out, and now here we are, way down here.
It really broke.
Yeah, broke down. Broke down. That's what they call it.
Yes.
Yeah, break on through to the other side.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is not good. This certainly sends a shiver of confusion to the investors in Canada.
Because now people don't know who else. They're speculating, trying to dig deeper now on other companies, and they're a little bit unsure where else this type of news or similar type of news could come out. But I know, I'm a positive person. I know that there's a lot of companies out there that are doing hard work, that are really taking it slow.
Sure.
So we must really not paint everybody with the same brush because it really happens.
And maybe here, the only solution is to sell the company, and so that Health Canada is dealing with a fresh bunch of people. Because is Health Canada ever going to trust these people?
Yeah, it definitely.
I mean, it'd be like if you were involved with somebody and he lied to you, or not he, but
Yeah. Well, that happens often.
People are people, right?
Well, that's why I train my intuition to really, be on point
don't
feel
listen
that.
to what they tell you. Feel their energy.
Feel their
energy. Is it good energy or bad energy? We're going to talk about energy later.
As we promised.
Because you're an expert on energy.
I'm trying to be an expert, and I've been learning a lot about it, so that is coming along very well. And I'm training my intuition by doing a lot of meditation, things like that. But it helps with the stocks because, as I said, I played the earnings the last, I think it was in the springtime this year.
Yes.
And I didn't feel good about it, but I did it anyway. I really didn't.
But you did sell right away when things didn't happen.
I lost a couple $100, but it was a lesson.
Right.
It was a lesson.
Yeah. So one less Gucci bag. Well, I guess you can't buy a Gucci bag for $200, can you?
You can.
A fake one.
Or a fake one. Yeah. But again, it didn't feel right. I didn't listen to my intuition. I did it anyway. The stock dropped the next day because the earnings weren't really received well, I guess. And even though they didn't sound bad, And after that, I kind of stayed away. I just thought then I listened to my intuition and say, you know what, I'm gonna watch Can't Trust, but I didn't feel like I wanted to. There's something not right. Some kind of
something's rotten in Denmark. You ever heard that expression? Something's rotten in Denmark. So look, and this is the 6-month chart here, just to put that up. So look at this. So something happened in here. Maybe that was.
We know what happened. There was also a drop up there too from the top, right?
There's a gap drop, and then we've got this clear channel down, and then the news of the unlicensed. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was also something to do with mold too, and some of their product about a year ago, I believe. I'm not sure of the time, but they've had a couple of false starts. Mm-hmm. And again, technically, this has got nothing to do with the company itself, folks, but this chart looks busted to me.
So even if this news didn't come out right now, the chart still didn't look very positive.
Well, it's busted, and there's been a lot of damage. When there's damage, stocks that hit new highs, there's clear sailing, right? Mm-hmm. People don't know what to expect, so it's easy. Mm-hmm. It's brand new. There's a warranty. Nothing can go wrong. Up and up. But then you take a microscope and you start looking around, and you see cockroaches. You see moths. You see flies. Lots of flies, right? Ugh. Yeah, I think this is a.
So now, what do we think that? What can people expect now for the future?
There's got to be some fallout too, but some companies will benefit from their misery, and other companies.
So now it's time for the ones that are really, have nothing to hide to just come out and show us, take pictures, show us, be on Instagram, be on Twitter, and show your shareholders and investors what you're doing and how it looks, because it is appreciated. You got to stay in touch. It's the mere exposure effect that really actually helps you to grow your business, because the more people see you, the more they can connect with you, feel comfortable with you, and then they will trust you, right?
Well, I'm sure we're going to have more to say as time goes on, because this is a continuing saga, I'm going to say.
If you're enjoying the show, subscribe to Midas Letter on YouTube so you stay up to date on everything investment.
Kuida Cannabis Cosmeceuticals, the first consumer brand of Khiron's wellness business unit, brings the benefits of CBD to a comprehensive portfolio of skincare products, both face and body care products for women. Kuida uses a technology developed specially for skincare based on the synergy of its active ingredients and cannabis, naturally boosting the antioxidant action. This is called CB Derm. Khiron is the first brand in Colombia to develop cosmeceutical products based on the benefits of CBD. Khiron trades on the TSX Venture under the symbol KHRN.
Hi, we're joined by Elsa Navarro, who's the Skin Unit Manager for Khiron Life Sciences. Elsa, how are you?
Fine, very well. Thank you so much for having me again.
Yeah, no problem. Great. So we understand that you guys attended the Founder Made event. Can you give us an idea what that was all about?
Well, Founder Made is a really VIP event. It took place last week in New York City, and it's a perfect opportunity to showcase new brands to specific retailers, media, and influencers only. So it was a great opportunity to start showcasing Kuida for the U.S. market.
What are your feelings on presenting the brand in an event like that? Are you kind of unique in the space?
It's a great opportunity to realize that we're going from local to global, and that we're really creating competitive brands here in Khiron. It was amazing for us in such a competitive landscape as it is Founder Made to see that our products have a completely different story from other CBD-based products. We're a complete range brand, and our quality, our packaging were really appealing to these decision makers.
What about the kind of feedback you were getting at the event? Tell us what kind of stood out to you and how people seem to receive the brand.
It was really exciting for us to get the feedback. Buyers, influencers were amazed. First, because of the branding. the way we're telling the story, the way we're teaching people, the texture, that we are really competitive with any other cosmetical brand, and as well of our explaining about CBD and our CBD technology, that really explains how CBD is competitive and a really an active ingredient that has a lot of potential for the future.
Yeah, and Founder Made was in New York City, obviously, and so the relationship with Dixie Brands being a U.S. company, how does that impact the presentation?
I think this was the perfect opportunity to start our joint venture. As you know, we have a 50-50 joint venture with Dixie. They have really great relationship with retailers, but this was the first opportunity to work together as a team and to be able to showcase our products to this 20 billion market in the US when we're talking about cosmetics.
Yeah, so if I were to drive down south of the border now, would I be able to pick up some Kuida products yet?
Well, really soon. We're hoping to be there at the end of this year. We're pending the TSX approval. We're working on that, but for sure by the end of this year, we'll be in the first retailers in the United States.
Okay, great. And so that sounds like a good timeline. When was the product launched, just to see how far we've come?
We launched Kuida here in Colombia last October. We were on shelves on November, so it's been really fast.
And was it kind of a strategic thing? Like you saw there was a need for a new entry in the cosmeceutical space?
You know, here in Khiron, we're always looking for the global opportunities. Understanding the regulatory framework of each country has allowed us to identify these opportunities. Also, the showcase in expos like this, the first one that we had at Cosmoprof Bologna, and the JV with Dixie has opened up a lot of opportunities. So for sure, right now, entering the United States markets is a big step for us.
And just to get into the product a bit more, how does it actually work? Like, what's the pitch to a potential customer in terms of benefits for their skin?
Thanks for that question, because we're always teaching consumer that we have to take into account that CBD has to interact with other active ingredients as any other active ingredient in the cosmetic industry will work. And right now, with our own technology, CBderm, what we have discovered is that we have a really potent antioxidant action into the skin. And that's a first claim that we're able to prove and to show to the consumer.
And just for also the consumer, what's the difference between using CBD and THC? Do you use any THC in any of the skin products?
No, remember that CBD is like one of the non-psychoactive active ingredients that you can find in the cannabis plant, and that is allowed to sell over the counter in cosmetics. For THC, you will have to have a prescription product, and it should be controlled by a doctor or a specialist. So in cosmetics, we only use CBD.
Okay, and so for the investor looking at sort of potential and future sales, is there any legal hurdles to selling the product in the United States, for example?
Well, right now the United States market has been changing the regulation really rapidly. Now more states are allowing it and understanding this difference between CBD and hemp-derived CBD, which is allowed in the United States right now, and THC, understanding the plant, understanding cannabis as a whole. So right now we are able to sell in many markets, but it depends on the TSX for us.
Absolutely. Well, thanks, Elsa, and I really look forward to see how the market receives the products in the coming months and years.
As we are. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Enjoying the show, everybody? Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Instagram.
Well, Nika, that was a great interview from Elsa Navarro. She's with Khiron, and she runs their skincare line.
Skincare line.
Kuida, I think it's called Kuida.
Kuida.
Kuida? Kuida?
Kuida.
Well, depends where you're from. But anyway, now you're a very aggressive young woman, and you're writing a book. I understand. Like you're about energy and psychology and how it all interrelates.
Well, we promised our viewers that we will be talking a little bit about energy today.
Sure.
And while I'm here, I want to pound it into everybody's minds, about how important it is to know yourself. So to know yourself, you have to know how your mind operates to be able to catch it when it's doing automatic processes. So when
when we say things that are negative, we don't even know we're saying them half the time, and our mind listens, right? It listens.
Because
whether you say good things or bad things.
Environment, and that is exactly.
So some of the words that you wouldn't use, like.
Okay, so I actually prepared a little bit for today. So I wanted to teach everyone, especially people who own businesses and who are, CEOs and run some kind of an important organization, to kind of shift them away from all this negativity they're hearing everywhere. And it's so easy to get immersed in all the negativity, and then we kind of reproduce it, right? Because we attract it to our mind, and then we reproduce it. We speak the same way as we kind of hear around us. So I was actually mentored by a famous hypnotist, and his name is Marshall Silver, and he gave a list of words.
He's a world-renowned guy, right?
He's a world-renowned hypnotist. He's taught me quite a lot, and he gave a list of words never to use. So I want to share those words.
Even if you say, don't use this word, you shouldn't say the word.
It's very negative.
If you don't say it, though, how are you going to know what it is, right?
I know. It gets tricky, but we'll make it easy. We'll just, I hope all the CEOs are listening.
Like can't.
Exactly. So, and this is called neuro-linguistic programming.
Neuro-linguistic programming.
Neuro from the mind, neurology, linguistic from language.
Yeah, and
programming.
Your brain.
Which is how our brain gets programmed every day. We see 7,000 advertisements per day. So our subconscious mind, even though we think that we're ignoring them, our subconscious mind is not.
Yeah.
And they program us. Our family programs us. Our work coworkers program us by the way they speak. So we need to catch that. So let me get to it. So how energy comes to play is you can actually, with the power of your mind and your language that you use and the language that gets imprinted into your mind, you can create your reality. So when you think, and we all know about the law of attraction, I'm sure.
Sure.
And so anything that you are imprinting into yourself and you're reproducing into the world, that's what you're going to get back. That's the results you're going to get back. So say, I was very positive, I was helpful to Midas Letter, I was promoting them, and look, next thing I know, I get to be on my favorite show.
I know.
And that was totally law of attraction working for me. This is my favorite show, and I'm here today.
James said on the show one day we should ask anybody that's following us if they'd like to be a guest host sometime, and you jumped at the opportunity.
But I happened to be watching at that particular moment, and at that particular moment, Fraser was in the chat room, because they're not always in the chat room, right? He saw my message, and so that everything, the energies correlated at that moment. It was the perfect timing. And that's when it all happened, and it just exploded from there. Yeah. So neuro-linguistic programming, if you program your mind with the energy and the psychology together, creating quantum leverage. And quantum is the energy that we don't see.
Right.
It's the unseen force. So we need to use that unseen force for our benefit, because not many people want to actually even admit that it's there. But hey, we don't see the Wi-Fi signal. It's there. We don't see it.
Right.
So the saying that to see it and believe, like I got to see it to believe it. No, you got to first believe it, then you'll see it. I guarantee you that. Let's get to the list. So this is Marshall's list. The word try, write this down. Never say the word try, because it makes you get off of responsibility. So now, if you want to get off from the responsibility, you can say that and go on your way. You'll never be responsible for doing the thing that you've just talked about.
But someone should always keep trying. Or if they're trying to accomplish something, you should never give up.
You should never give up, but don't ever tell yourself that you're trying. Tell yourself that you are certain that you will reach there.
Right.
You are certain. So actually 95% of people don't finish what they start.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, if we cut maybe we should cut this interview short, and then we would fall in that category. Have you ever read the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill?
I did, and actually just this past weekend, I was at an event where the vice president of Napoleon Hill Foundation was speaking, because my
remarkable.
dear friend,
that book was way ahead of its time. It was written 120 years, 110 years ago, or whatever.
It was, and Think and Grow Rich is definitely a
he says when you want a certain amount of money, you have to see the money in your possession.
Exactly.
Well before you get the money.
Exactly.
And you're not going to try and get the money. I already have the money.
And that's the point.
Yeah.
That's exactly the point. I recommend this book because it is a classic.
It's a classic.
It's a classic for sure.
Made more millionaires than any other book.
It did.
But except it didn't make him a millionaire. He only wanted to teach.
Yeah.
So he taught, but it didn't make him rich.
Yeah. There's also another book he wrote, Outwitting the Devil. It's a little bit more of a taboo book. Apparently his wife didn't let him put it out for many, many years. And after their death, I don't know if I'm getting the story correct.
What was the name of the book?
Outwitting the Devil. I don't know if I should even.
Yeah, let's not. We gotta be careful here.
No, because this is a very good psychological book. It's a huge hit. It's another hit of actually Napoleon Hill's, and it's a great.
You know who inspired Napoleon Hill to do this?
No.
Andrew Carnegie, the great steel industrialist.
Oh.
Andrew Carnegie asked him if he would spend the rest of his life showing the world how to accumulate wealth. And he said, I'll do it. He said, I'll give you, he had a stopwatch under the desk, and he said, I'll click the stopwatch on. If it takes you longer than 30 seconds to answer, I'm not going to fund you. And he answered immediately, I will do it. And that's how Napoleon Hill got to start with helping the world, the science of the secrets of the science of success.
Well, that's kind of how my book thing came about, because I was at a presentation, and Raymond Aaron, who's a New York Times best-selling author, he is my publisher now.
Yeah.
But I really only had a few seconds to decide whether I want to do this or not. And I said, yes. Raymond said, don't think about it, just do it. I say, you know what, that's correct. And now I'm halfway done. And I have a publisher. So it's just, the magic comes to you when you really are decisive. And when you have that positive energy, and when you love people, you have to love people.
Yeah.
So, because then they will feel it and they will be drawn to you.
You ever go into a room where you meet someone and you immediately feel that there's no connection at all?
Totally.
So you should just move on and just not try to rectify it, not try to some people you just won't get along with. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah, that is true.
Because you're vibrating at different levels.
Exactly. Maybe but I would not just disappear. I would think to yourself, why is it happening? What could be the reason behind this? Because maybe sometimes some people are just shy, and they're negative. The shyness is a negative energy, right? Because it comes from being unsure, being fearful of others.
Right.
So maybe they're a nice person, but they're just shy, and you might be picking up a negative energy, and you don't know what it is. Well,
we're certainly not shy, are we?
Oh, we're not shy. You're not shy.
I want you to just quickly read the list of words.
Very quickly.
And it doesn't have to be all of them, but we don't have to get into details. But just give the list, because we're going to run out.
I want people to cross them right out of their vocabulary.
Okay, no more.
And they can read my book to find out why.
Now, if you're playing Scrabble and you can use that word to get a lot of points, you still can't use it because no more, right?
I mean, in Scrabble you can use it.
Okay.
I'll give you a pass.
Okay.
Okay. The next word is but. So if you're saying, we're projecting these revenues, but
now that's spelled B-U-T.
Yeah.
So we're not confused here.
No, not the big butt. No. The small butt. Okay. So the word but actually negates everything that came before it. So when you're talking about, say, your revenues, and then you say, but we're expecting something. Now anything you said before the word but is going to be negated by the listener.
So give the whole list, because we are going to run out of time.
The word hope, change that to the word know. I know instead of I hope.
Yeah, hope.
The word if, the word why. Why is this happening to me? Ask, I will do better next time.
Yeah, why is it raining? Yeah. Well, it's just raining. It's just raining.
Why do I always
who gives a
get
shit?
the worst end of the stick? No, say to yourself, next time I'm getting the better end of the stick.
Yeah.
Cost. turn the word cost into the word investment. So if something say, oh, this will cost our company this much,
Right. Well,
don't
if it
say
costs
that.
you, then you shouldn't do it because a cost means you're not getting any benefit.
Yeah, so say our
I'm
investment.
a pretty good student, aren't I?
You're an awesome student, but I'm sure you know all this already. The word cost, change that into the word investment. So our investment of this will be, instead of our cost to this store. Debt is also, don't say debt, say our leverage. So our leverage is this instead of our debt is this. So
I can see where we're going with this.
There's a couple more. No, that's it. So this is it. Write these down.
Okay, so
put them by your computer and cross
look,
them
we're probably
right
going
out
to do
of
another
your
session
vocabulary.
before the week's out because you've piqued my interest, that's for sure.
I hope so. And I said hope. See how automatic processes work?
Oh, shame on you. You know what? Go stand in the corner.
Even someone who's studying this makes these mistakes all the time. That's why we have to get our programming of our mind.
The market's about psychology. You're about energy and psychology. And I know one thing. I know nothing.
You taught me a lot about energy yesterday because,
Well, it is. It can't be created. Can't be destroyed. It just changes forms. That's all it does. The sun. We are stardust. We are stardust. Okay.
If you like the show, you'll love our website. Visit us at www.midasletter.com for interviews with key CEOs, cannabis news, and to subscribe to our newsletter.
And now we're going to hear from Joe Schmidt, who's the head of the NEO Stock Exchange. But today he's going to talk about SPACs, which are special purpose acquisition companies.
Joe Schmidt joins me now. He's the president and CEO of NEO Exchange. Joe, welcome.
Great to be with you.
So, Joe, the emergence of SPACs, special purpose
acquisition corporations.
Corporations, thank you. Tell me what a SPAC is and give me an example of one that is representative of a success that constituted a positive investor experience.
Yeah. Well, what is a SPAC in a nutshell? It's a vehicle where a group of people, typically experts in an industry with a strong combination of all the right managerial skills to have a great vision, a great strategy, know what it takes to run a company, come together and say to investors, you can invest with us, you can make an investment in this vehicle, in this SPAC, and we're gonna put that money aside. That money is in fact very well protected. The regulators put in a very strong structure to ensure that those investors would be protected. And if you do that, we are going to start to scan and do due diligence to identify a company that we could acquire, a company that has tremendous potential and that is in need of capital, in need of leadership, maybe in need of certain skills that they don't have. And if you look at the history of SPACs, it was created in the US quite a little while back, and they had some good successes. Canada or the TSX tried to replicate it. It has not been very successful, and there has been a lot of negative noise about it. And it then started again with NEO in the cannabis space. And we've had some very interesting developments in that space now. We are at our 5th SPAC, but the first two led already to results. So the qualifying transaction came out of it, and one led to the company Columbia Care, which is probably one of the big leader MSOs, multi-state operators in the US that resulted out of that SPAC and out of the qualifying transaction, and they ended with great capital to fuel their growth and great support to enable them to go further. The second one led to a company called Air, same story, same strategy, same vision, and again, in their case, they brought 5 companies together, and then we have other ones that are running, and yesterday, believe it or not, we listed the biggest SPAC ever in Canadian history, with a total raise of $575 million US, sponsored or supported by Subversive Capital, and Canaccord Genuity was facilitating it, was doing acting as a banker for it. So I think we see this developing. More interestingly, we see it working. I think this is reaffirming that the SPAC is a great vehicle. As I always say, it's a great vehicle at the right time in the right industry. And I think that the cannabis industry, being an emerging industry where there's a lot of different initiatives, local initiatives, people setting up companies, some of them already making revenue, they get stuck. Like, how do we take this to the next level? How do we grow it? And they don't really have any solutions. Access to financing is difficult or can be extremely expensive. And then the SPAC suddenly is there, is trying to identify them, and then gives them that incredible injection in capital. And I think that it works. I think it's reaffirming that the SPAC is a good vehicle. It's affirming that you have to do that at the right moment. This last listing is going to create even more visibility around this. And I think we're going to see it in other industries also. It's going to reemerge in other industries, but it has to be the right industries where there are gems that are unable to grow, to develop, and that need support, and that can be identified by the experts that are behind a SPAC. Mm-hmm. So I think it's great. Don't use a SPAC in a very mature industry. I don't think you will find those gems that need that capital. You will probably have some established players that will identify them and buy them out. But this is a big development. And again, it's great to be the exchange that enabled that.
Yeah. So the capital was put together by Subversive and Canaccord Genuity specifically for the purpose of acquiring a cannabis company that already exists?
Yeah, their strategy is to acquire one or multiple companies that are already there. So the one example is one of the SPACs that led to a qualifying transaction where it was one single company that was involved, Columbia Care. Mm-hmm. Another one that was done by Mercer Park led to the acquisition of 5 companies that were then brought together to develop synergies. So it can be any combination of bringing together companies that have tremendous potential and that need that capital and that support to take them to the next level, or potentially need, being combined with each other, because then you create a strong entity that can really create value add. And that is really what a SPAC does.
Okay.
And you'll see it in other industries, I'm sure about that.
So the most important element for an investor considering a deployment of capital into a SPAC would be the ability of the management of the SPAC to identify suitable acquisitions that are going to accrete to a positive experience for investors. Okay,
absolutely. And the other element that is important and to keep in the back of your mind, that is that there are protection mechanisms in place. So this is not like here you get my money and you go and make something with it, and if it fails, I lose my money. So there are protections mechanisms in place where 90% of those funds are put in escrow. So the investor, in fact, is not giving someone a blank check who then walks away with it. So he is being protected, and his risk is minimized. If there's nothing coming out of that SPAC, and the SPAC has a certain life duration, 2 years, can be extended to 3. But if nothing comes out of it, then at one moment they will have to stop, and the money goes back to the investors.
Fascinating. We'll have to look more into that and learn more about it. That's great, Jose. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you very much. Pleasure.
Let's talk about Aurora. Recently, your financials, you've more or less delivered on.
Here are the headlines moving markets today.
If you're lucky to buy it 3 days ago at 37 cents,
and I think it has a lot to do with some of these smaller names giving really...
Recreational cannabis is here. It's quite dry. So I'm going to eliminate the stocky bits.
Welcome back, everyone. Joined here by Nicodomi, our new co-host.
We're back.
Co-head host. Ed, co-ed host.
There you go.
There you go. See? Simple.
And we wanted to give gratitude to our sponsors, Halo Labs, because without them, I wouldn't even be here today.
You see their little names in the corner on the.
Thank you, Halo Labs.
Yeah, and visit their
website is
Halo Canada.
halocana.com. And I'm still wanting to try that Shatterizer.
Yeah, we will.
Okay, cool. I love it.
Whoa, what's going on here? What kind of show we got? Okay. Yeah, look, this trust thing is kind of disturbing because it's going to impact a lot of the other companies. I was looking at Flower Corporation.
Okay.
Flower, FLOWR. You know, that the things was dropping. They scuttled their convertible debenture for $125 million. The stock started to go back up, went back to 5, okay? And then they halted it, saying they were going to do a bought deal financing with GMP at $4.10. Now, this has all happened in the week. The point I want to make is, I think right now it's trading at $3.90. Now, when you do a bought deal, that means the company that's raising the money, they're saying, we're going to raise you the money. We're committed. A bought deal means there's some risk on behalf of the people raising the money. Mm-hmm. So they're prepared to buy it, but it's below. And I got to believe that a lot of these things are backing off because of what's happening to trust. I know Weed's unchanged, which is good. Kronos is up a little bit. It's I hate to say sad because when it comes to money, well, look who's here. Look who's here.
Oh, wow.
Oh, is that? I think we got a special visitor here. It's James.
Coming to you live all the way from Baltimore, Maryland, Edward.
Baltimore,
Oregon, Baltimore, Maryland. Did you know that Baltimore, Maryland is the home, the center of the universe for financial newsletter writers?
I was just going to ask you, what's Baltimore got going?
Baltimore, well, I'm going to take you for a little tour here right now.
Okay.
At the risk of possibly losing optimum light, you're going to see a party going on out here. Whoops, 1 second. Oh, wait, can I get this thing open? All right. So let's see here. There's the harbor of Baltimore behind me. That's actually Chesapeake Bay.
Wow.
You'll see that down here in the pool, there's actually a party going on.
What?
Wow.
What kind of party?
Yeah. A pool party, Edward. Can't you tell a pool party when you see one?
Oh, I thought there was another kind of party that starts with P-O, like as in pot.
A pot party. No, actually, that's later. You know, the funny thing is, I set this little station up for me to call in and check in with you guys, and I've got a Shatterizer, but it's in the suitcase that I've set up my little performance station at. So I can't show it to you. Tomorrow, I'm going to show you oh, no, not tomorrow. Friday, I'm going to show the audience the Shatterizer, and I'm going to do a dab tab hit live on the show, and I'm going to get really goofy high.
How come we don't get a shot? Where's our dab? Nika's saying, she's kicking me under the desk here, saying, where's our dab? What's going on?
You guys don't get a dab because you guys don't have a Shatterizer.
Yeah.
Without a Shatterizer, a dab tab is just south of useless.
Is the weather humid there?
Yeah, it's so it's an hour and a half flight from Toronto to Baltimore, and it's pretty much exactly what it is in Toronto right now. It's 30 degrees, partly cloudy. I mean, you saw the pool is full of people partying by the pool, so obviously the day's not that bad.
Yeah.
So what's going on in the cannabis industry today? That's what I want to know. I'm in a room full of newsletter writers. They all started talking about gold and natural resources. I thought, well, I'm going to go upstairs and have a conversation about cannabis.
Well, you know, James, they finally said in print. Now, I think a lot of people suspected that management of CanTrust knew for 7 months. They put this in print now that they've known. There's emails going back and forth with certain members of management. So it looks like they're becoming more complicit here. You know, I don't want to say it. You know, this is. But the language is sort of, you know, suggesting that they were dodging bullets back then 7 months ago, and Health Canada was likely to come back, and it's all there, and people can. The stock's not acting well. It's $2.65, down another 20% today, but it's almost back to where it was 2 years ago when it went public.
Yeah, well, you know. The bottom line is, I think that the more it becomes apparent that management, at least in part, was complicit or aware of what was going on, the more likely it is that Health Canada
And we just
their license.
okay. We just lost you there for a second, but
am I glitching out there?
Just on the last sentence, but you were going to say it's more apparent that Health Canada.
Is it using video?
Yeah, we're having some difficulties here, unfortunately, with the transmission. Yeah. Why are people in the production room laughing so hard? That's what I want to know.
Because I'm cursing and swearing.
The transmission. I've been riding the clutch too much. Now I got problems with the transmission. Anyway, that's talk for old drivers like me. Drivers.
Clutch. What's a clutch? Is that a self-driving vehicle?
Yeah, that's no. There's no clutch. Yeah, I gotta pop the
Speaking
clutch.
Speaking of clutch,
I'm using a clutch cargo. Clutch cargo. Okay, so back to business here. Yeah. Some companies seem to be holding Nika was talking about this company,
Acasti.
Acasti.
That's my gem.
And Neptune owns 10% of it.
I think 20% of
yeah,
it.
It's moved in the last couple of weeks from $1.40, $1.60, $1.70 to $3, $3.10.
Today, actually, it made it to $3.17.
Yeah, I think it's around $3 now. So there's always something moving, but I can't help but feel a little bit betrayed by what's going on with CanTrust. I hate to say it that way, but.
Yeah, it certainly is a black mark on the whole industry, and it remains to be seen what kind of damage will occur to the industry as a whole as this situation unfolds. I mean, at this point, we can only hope that Health Canada comes back, renders a decision. Either CanTrust is sold or its license is terminated and the poor investors take the hit, though I certainly hope that doesn't happen. Or it has to come to some resolution. But meanwhile, I'm looking at all four Midas Letter indexes. Large cap is down 0.19%. It was green earlier. Midas Letter small cap is down 1.21%. Midas Letter Venture Index down 1.54%. And actually, as I'm watching, the Midas Letter CSE Index just turned green, but only by 0.1%.
Right.
So, the summer doldrums continue here. We're going into the last week of July next week. And then it's August, and things typically don't get that much better in August. Though you will remember that it was last year on August 15th that Canopy Growth announced a $5 billion investment from Constellation Brands. Yes, and here it is, a paltry 8 months after that, and the company that Bruce Linton brought in, the CEO, found that they curbsided him rather unceremoniously and rather suddenly. Though I'm sure Bruce is not too upset about that because he's only got 3-point-some-odd million shares to sell. And I'm sure that's also got the market on pins and needles. Why would you hang on when you could liquidate and carry on?
Yeah. Yeah, and I was reading it in one of the press releases that when Bank of America and the syndicate took CanTrust around to the States and got a lot of international investors involved, that some of the original founding shareholders, there's a family mentioned, and the name escapes me. They sold $30 million of their stock to that group. So, I don't know what the cost of that stock would be, but I'm sure it would be a lot lower than the $595 US. I think they raised the money at, or something like that. I think they raised $195 million.
Yeah.
What are the implications? You start thinking, well, what are the implications of that? And the U.S. is extremely litigious. It's just, I got some issues, but there's people that seem to have bigger issues than I do right now.
I don't think anybody has bigger issues than you, Ed, except for perhaps CanTrust. But, the fallout from CanTrust is obviously going to have a lot of casualties, particularly among any institutional investors who picked up on the roadshow that was conducted by some of the institutions in Toronto late last year. But you know, look at any other industry that's publicly traded companies involved in it, and of course, there's going to be scandals. There's going to be there's going to be larceny. There's going to be pitfalls. There's going to be all the makings of a Hollywood movie. Obviously, the trick is to not get caught in one of those companies, and that's why you need the Midas Letter.
That's right.
We're going to launch. I've just met today with 30 of the top newsletter and financial marketing people in the world who are going to all come and help me launch the Midas Letter, because we are all unanimous in the opinion that poor world out there needs the Midas Letter insight in the cannabis industry before they get sideswiped by
Yeah. So interesting. It's very interesting. Yeah, they're now you're heading out to where are you going tonight? Are you staying in Baltimore tonight, or are you flying out?
Yes, Edward, I'm staying in Baltimore tonight. We're going to be drinking wine and smoking cigars in the Cannon room of the Pendry Hotel in beautiful downtown Baltimore here.
Yeah. Yeah, your connection is you're breaking in. You're breaking up.
Yes, well, Ed, unfortunately, I can tell you that the hotel here, despite charging an extra $14.95 for a premium connection, is unable to live up to the advertising.
Right. Interesting. Yeah.
Anyways, you guys have minutes left. I'm going to dial back in tomorrow. Hopefully, I'll have a better signal. I'll talk to you guys then.
Thanks, James. Great to hear from you.
See ya. Have fun.
Thanks.
Okay, James is always, there's a guy that's got unbelievable levels of energy, as you do.
And intelligence.
And intelligence, and let's not say too many nice things. So look, we're coming down to the end of the day here. It's midweek.
It always goes by so fast.
Well,
I'm having fun.
When you're
and I
having
want to say
fun.
hello to everybody in the chat room, because I've been hanging out with them before, and they're just great people that we have in the chat room.
What we're going to do, we didn't have much time to do that today, but we're going to go to the chat rooms tomorrow, I believe, and we're going to spend a fair amount of time answering some of our viewers.
So I'm expecting everybody to come on
in tomorrow. If you have a company you want to look talk about fundamentals, talk about a press release, talk about what the chart looks like, tomorrow will be a good day to try it.
And then they won't be watching the Mueller report. And
I don't even, I really don't get that involved. Except I know,
either.
There's a show on cable TV about the circus, and it's about American politics. They call it the circus. Okay. You know what? And I forgot. I was going to mention that Britain has a new prime minister. And I think the Queen, once she officially does the ceremony, blah, 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 Boris Johnson's going to be in power. I don't know much about the man, but he seems like another one of these politicians that's either loved or not loved so much. I don't want to see hated, because it's it's like Trump. I mean, people will die for this guy, or they hate him.
Love
right?
or hate, yeah.
And everything seems to be getting more and more polarized, which we can't. You talk about black and white, but things really are never black and white.
No,
they're shades of gray, right?
Yeah.
It's one.
And I don't feel like we have to be constrained to one side, because there's good and bad to everything. So I'm the type of person where I would pick out the good and the bad and see what I like.
The good and the bad, and maybe the ugly. How about the good and the bad and the ugly? It could be the name of a movie. Boris has got interesting hair, doesn't he? He's got good hair. It's just flying all over the place. Look at this. Look at this. Look at.
Oh, who's this?
That's got to be.
Boris Johnson gets stuck on a zip wire.
Is that what's happened? Yeah, he does.
Long version.
Oh, he gets. Look at in the.
That was funny.
Well, that's it here. We're running out of time, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks so much, guys.
Come back tomorrow.
And ladies.
The saga will continue.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Take care. Thank you very much.
Bye.